Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome. So, there are some interesting patterns I'm starting to see with the collective I'm channeling for, especially about the different threads or streams of consciousness within the bigger collective. And for this particular stream, this message is today, I see a certain pattern forming or coming to my attention. And that is, for one, the way the messages come through, and they are often with a lot of urgency, or at least a feeling of urgency. There is some pressure behind it. And the more I try to put it aside, to say I'll do it later, to almost put up a boundary, really, the pressure just builds. And until I come to a point where I just say, okay, whatever, I kind of drop everything and just start recording it, because it's just easier that way. And it's I don't want to say it's annoying, because that sounds very mean and I don't want to say you are annoying, which is not at all what I'm saying. It's just this, there's this pushy element in this determination that kind of almost leaves me no choice. Because there's another thing that I realize with that particular stream of energy, that it's very often accompanied by an intense headache. And this headache will not go away. It will just become stronger and stronger until I finally sit down and start recording, aka channeling or moving the energy. So it almost seems like there is this pressure building by too much energy that is not moved. And then there is this tension building, which for one results in a feeling of urgency, of it's, it's almost like a garden hose, where there is there are those, the kinds where you can switch, where there's some kind of switch on it, and you can stop the water flowing. And then the water in the hose or in the pipe will just, it's stopped by this switch. And so it just builds pressure inside the hose until you release the switch. And then at first the water comes out with a little more pressure until it starts to flow regularly again. And this is something I've always been wondering. I never tried it, to be honest. What happens if you just, because you cannot do that infinitively, right? I don't know. Does it explode at some point? Does it just break? Will it just spray all over? And I have no idea. I've never tried that. But so yeah, I'm just getting that image right now. So yeah, those are the first two things that I recognize with this certain part of the collective. The urgency, the pressure, the feeling of I have to act now. It has to happen now. I have to drop everything in order to follow this thing now. And then it just has to, there's all this energy that has to move. And the other thing, like I said, is this intense headache that I don't know why, but it always reminds me of like the energy of stubbornness. And with like the stubbornness is being a block, and through this block there's all this energy building, and this creates a headache. And this is by no means a medical thing, of course, and I'm not a doctor or anything. And if you let me just say that if you experience severe headaches and you don't know where they're coming from, you should of course go and check that out. Like, let it checked by a medical professional. Those are, like, I'm talking in metaphors here. But of course, spiritual, like, energy can manifest as physical symptoms. But like I said, always go and make sure that there's no acute physical reason for what you're experiencing. So, yeah. With that being said, like the third thing I recognize with this particular part of the collective is that I tend to record faceless readings. Somehow I just feel I want to say safer. And I mean, I did videos for that collective. I did that. But it feels like when there is like especially like vulnerable space that this collective is in at the moment, or maybe it is so. Like, it feels vulnerable to me, to be honest. Then, yeah, I kind of gravitate towards faceless readings, faceless messages. I also want to note that I actually, like 2 days ago, I recorded another message, and that one was faceless too. And I had this insane headache, and it was like I wanted to go to bed. Actually, it was very, very late, and I was so tired. But I knew I could not record it, because if I did that, I would just lie awake and couldn't sleep. So I recorded it, and it turned out so long, and I haven't even listened to it yet. I haven't edited anything, and I'll see if I'll post it, because I felt like it was extremely confusing, because I was so tired. But now I because with this headache, there's also a severe tiredness coming in, and it's in the middle of the day. So this is, and given the pressure and like this feeling of urgency, it feels like there's something that needs to be put out, that needs to be said. It has to go out. So yeah, I don't know. See what resonates. If you find yourself in like those descriptions so far, maybe this is for you. I don't really know where to go from here, to be honest. But the thing is, there has been so much going on over the last few days that I wouldn't even know where to start. I didn't even bring a pack of cards. I could go and fetch one, but usually when I do that, I'm ending up not using them. And it's so interesting, because I feel like for one, I'm starting to understand more what my reading style is about. Because it's very much a process. It's always a process. This is also one of the reasons why my readings get so insanely long sometimes. Because it's just like you are moving with me through the energy and through the this is not just channeling messages. I'm working through energy. This is basically an energy session that I'm doing. And you're just sitting there with me, working through the energy and listening to me while I'm doing it. So I'm receiving more and more insights that this is actually part of what like my messages, my readings are about. You could call it maybe, yeah, I would say it's like an energy session. Some people go to Reiki healers. This is what I do. Yeah, so I feel called to talk about the process and to lead you through it. And actually, by talking about it, I'm moving the energy. And there is great value in talking about how one feels and what we, I don't know if you guys have ever been to maybe a therapy session or something like that, but I did several years of therapy. And what I learned there is that when sometimes you don't know what's going on, like your therapist asks you a question and it might be something like, so how does that make you feel? And you are just not sure. Because when you tap inside, like you try to connect with any kind of feeling, sometimes it's that you feel so much and you cannot really break it down. You cannot really, like it feels hard to put it into words. So you're having a hard time to start talking about it. And sometimes there's just nothing, like there's just emptiness, or you feel numb, or it's like hard to feel anything. And then how do you talk about that? So what I learned through my therapy is that it actually can help to simply name that, to just start talking about what you feel or what you don't feel, and then just watch yourself in the process, and then you'll see if that thing starts to become clearer, or maybe it'll change, or it'll lose intensity, or now there are construction works again. They've been doing this like all day again, and it's not helping with the headache. I can tell you. I hope it's not too loud on the recording, because I actually don't want to stop. I feel like this is important. So I apologize if it's distracting. But I'm actually always saying that things happen for a reason. At least I want to show us something. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see what this drill up there wants to tell us. So yeah, I was talking about that can be helpful to, like when you start talking about something, even when you feel like it's either there's nothing at all or there's so much and I don't even know where to start, it can help. Really, it can help to just start somewhere. And I feel like this ties in with this pressure theme that I talked about at the beginning. Like there's all this pressure building, and it seems like this is like the pressure is getting stronger. The longer we wait, the less we act upon it. And the energy has to get moving. It has to go somewhere. and it won't stop building. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's because I've been talking so much about communication. I don't know if it's that maybe you should say something. Maybe there's something you should talk about. Maybe there's something, related to your throat chakra in a broader sense, like expressing, self-expression, whatever that means. But yeah, it very much feels like there is something that needs to be acted on, like some kind of... I'm trying to feel into this. Like, what is it that is actually... Where does this come from? What is it that wants you to... Like, what is the source of that? That's the first question that comes to mind. And the second one is, why do you feel like why do you not act on it? What's hindering you to act? And while I'm asking, like, where does this come from? What is the source of... And this is so interesting because I just, I stopped talking and I felt like I just sat there in silence for a while and the drill stopped. And now that I start talking, it's started again. So I feel like there's a part inside of you that wants to express itself and it gets overridden by something. There's some part that tries to talk over it, that tries to stop it from expressing itself. And usually I would have stopped the recording and waited until they stopped the construction works. But this time I felt like, no, this is, I just say, this is not perfect. There's some noise in the background. I'm sorry. You'll get over it. You survive. We'll be okay. And just kept going. So there's something in there that there's already like advice coming through that even though it's not perfect, sometimes it's more important that you just start, that you just do something, that you just bring the message across. And this is, to be honest, this is something that came out of my channel over the last few weeks constantly, this message. So it feels like this is a general theme in the collective that you're all being asked to do something, to act upon something, to go for something. And there seems to be some resistance to not do it. And it also keeps coming up that to view it more as a process, to let it be imperfect, to just start before you feel ready, before you feel like you've got everything figured out and you've got everything under control and you know exactly where this is going. That's not gonna happen ever. And so this is a way to keep you in stagnancy, to not, like, if you wait for the quote unquote right moment and until you feel ready, until you think now it's perfect, like you will wait forever. It will not happen. And actually this is even like, that's part of the lesson that this particular collective is being asked to learn right now, is to move into the uncertainty, without knowing what's going to happen, without having all the answers. In fact, you will not get the answers before or after you start. You will not get it until after you started to move. That was kind of complicated. So yeah, before I got distracted by the drilling, there was something else I was talking about and I lost my train of thought. Oh guys, this headache is killing me. If you have that headache, I'm so sorry. I feel for you. This is really intense, and it's always accompanied by this neck tension. I'm getting hung up on this, and I just thought like, oh, I wish I knew what I said before I started to talk about this imperfection stuff. So it seems like I want to go back and to pick up something that I left in the past, and I want to go back to that particular thing, and I want to. It's like I want to pick up where I left it. But you see, the thing is, in between, now I talked about all this other stuff, so we are in a different place now. And I cannot go back. I mean, right now, of course, I could. I could stop the recording. I could go back. I could listen what I said, and then I could go, I could continue recording, but this is not how life works, right? And if you haven't noticed yet, or if you're new here, I'll tell you. My readings are, like I said, they are a process. They are sometimes chaotic and messy, and I move in spirals, and they are, in that way, actually a representation of life itself. So we cannot jump back in time in real life and redo what we did, or go back to that thing and look what was there, but we can only work with what we have now. And what we have now is that it seems like the construction works stopped, at least for now. So it seems like it worked. Me keeping on talking. And now they are bringing me back to that therapist thing. I don't know if I completed that thought. Maybe that was where I stopped. But yeah, it's this thing about just sometimes it helps to start talking about something. They are bringing, I don't know, is there something like you should go and say to somebody? Almost feels like it. Go and I hear unfinished business. There's some kind of unfinished business. And it's like, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. Okay? So if you're like, I don't have any unfinished business, then this is probably not your message, or at least not this part of it. There seems to this is something that's actually bothering you. It's nagging you. And okay, so this is where this feeling like this exhaustion comes in, this tiredness comes in. This is like you're leaking energy through that. Because it's something that you have no closure. And it seems like for you, in order to get closure, you need to find a way to get that that thing that's weighing on you. Yeah, it feels like there's something that's weighing on you. That's weighing on your shoulders. Like my shoulders are feeling, like I said, it's really tense and heavy. And now the headaches is picking up again, getting stronger. So yeah, like I said, there's something that you want to get off your chest, but you don't know how. And maybe you even feel like you can't. Maybe it's with the person that you are not in contact anymore, or maybe past, or I hear it's complicated. Oh yeah, those complicated situations. Who doesn't know a good complicated situation? Yeah, so it feels like there's something it's not easy. Like, it's not like, it doesn't feel like this is something where, I don't know, you're calling your best friend who you just like talked to yesterday, and you're like, hey, buddy, there's this thing I want to talk to you about. Like, no. I mean, it could be, I don't want to rule that out completely, but to me, it actually feels more like there are some circumstances around all of this that makes it even harder, because the thing you want to get off your chest doesn't seem to be easy to say. And we will get to that in a moment, but it also feels like that on top of that, there is like this even more complicated circumstance that it's not that easy to talk to that person, to contact that person. And so now there's some guides here that are stepping through, and they are asking you to, for one, to trust, and like to trust that there will be a resolution. Like, there will be a way for you to resolve this whole thing. Now, of course, depending on your situationship here, whatever it is that, how your circumstances look like, this will be different for everyone. So I don't feel like I'm gonna go into that a lot deeper. There's just one thing kind of, it keeps coming up. This might be for somebody who has something unresolved with a deceased person. And of course, this is like that's a circumstance where it seems to be a little harder to get to a resolution, but actually there are ways to release those kind of things, or to resolve those kinds of things. It depends on how open you are to actually doing something with a medium, or maybe yourself connecting with people on the other side, spirits on the other side, So there are ways where you can actually like talk to spirit. And especially when there are unresolved issues, this is not just something that is hanging over you, but this is also something that is an issue, or can be an issue, very likely is an issue for the spirit on the other side, because when they have unresolved business, they cannot move on. They cannot pass on completely. So this seems to be like a side, like for somebody here to explain that this is actually very important for both of you to do that. And of course, it depends on how open you are to those kind of things. It seems like you don't even have to like I said, go to a medium and kind of talk to them. You could just like talk to them yourself. You could just start sharing what's on your mind or in your heart. You could write letters, and this might already start, move some of that energy. And then like there's again this element of see where the journey takes you from, like just go that first step, because I already hear, well, what's that gonna help? And there's this like very gentle advice coming through and saying like, well, just take the first step and then you'll see. And then just go from there and see how it makes you feel. See what you experience. And don't give up too quickly. Actually, I remembered what I was talking about, or what I wanted to say actually before the drilling started. But now I lost the other train of thought. Oh yeah, the unresolved business, right? I'm going to finish that thought. I'll try. So for those of you who don't have like a deceased person, but like a living and breathing one on this planet, even though you might not be in contact with that person, or it seems to be complicated to recontact that person, Spirit is asking you to get creative, really. And so yeah, now there's this trust bit coming in, and that is actually the thing I wanted to talk about before the drilling started, because I said that I felt like there was this part that got overridden through the drilling. And this actually ties in with that message I talked about earlier that I recorded 2 days ago in the middle of the night. That there's an imbalance, it seems like, in this collective between the masculine and the feminine energy, and how the masculine relates to the feminine. And vice versa, of course. But this is a very masculine, heavy energy. And of course, I'm speaking about energy here. So we all have both masculine and feminine inside of us. And we all have those issues then inside of us. But depending on if you, in your expression of that energy, like to which side you're leaning more, like in your everyday life, if you're like, okay, I'm more at home in my masculine energy, or I'm more at home in my feminine energy. I, for myself, am more at home in my feminine energy, which is why my messages are like they are. very spiralic and going with the flow and intuitive, not very structured. So depending on to which side you lean more, that plays a part in how this relationship between masculine and feminine is showing up for you, of course. And then, of course, in your individual life, like we are all living different lives. So, of course, there are differences too. So what is it about this relationship between the masculine and the feminine? There is some kind of distrust or a fear. It seems like it's a fear the masculine has. So this is showing up, like, depending on where in your journey you are, like where in what kind of, how much you healed the relationship between masculine and feminine in general. Although I have to say, like, the collective that is gathering here, it feels like you've done a lot of work. So I think for the most part, like you value, the masculine values the feminine, and it feels like you want to trust more into your feminine. But, and there comes the struggle in, it's a world where those more feminine qualities are not always well received. And it feels dangerous even to express too much of that more feminine side. And I'm not just talking about like toxic masculinity and that like you cannot show any feminine traits and like your sensitivity or emotions and all of that. And while that is certainly also part of this message, like in the bigger picture, it feels like that this is going even more into a spiritual sense, like more into topics topics like psychism, for example. And this came out in the other message, and because for one, I'm not sure if I'm going to share it, and secondly, I feel like this is not for, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that this message is also for this collective, but it's the same issue that's showing up. So I'm quickly going to share something. What came up there was about quote unquote masculine heavy professions, where it's necessary to show traits like logic, and that are very much about either physical traits, physical strength, or I keep getting something about engineers, like, or scientists, just, professions where it's very important to rely on facts and figures and numbers and things that can be proven. And as somebody who might be operating in this kind of field, and you are getting more and more in touch with your feminine energy, and you are someone who is, and like I said, when you're resonating with this kind of message, I guess you are someone who is very much in tune. You are probably in your spirituality working with your feminine side and trying to get more in contact with those parts of yourself, or are here to learn to work with it better, like to co-create. Oh, okay, so this is about co-creation. So as someone who is, and it feels very much to me that like you are someone who's leaning more to the masculine side in your everyday life, like in your physical expression. And you understand that in order to get what you want from life, is what I'm hearing. So in order to get what you want from life, you cannot keep on relying too much on the masculine side, and while it's still the one that is like driving your boat, you want the feminine as your co-pilot, is your co-creator. And it, like what I get here is that it seems like in your spiritual practice, like you're doing a pretty good job already, but you're still struggling with the quote-unquote outside world, with the everyday life, with things like, I talked about like your professional life, your job, and so yeah, there is something about leaving more room for your feminine nature, in all parts of your life. And again, they're saying like finding creative way on how you can implement it. Because I was, like, for a second here, I was a little bit irritated because I was like, okay, first we started about communication and communicating something, saying something, which felt very like relationship heavy at first. And now suddenly talking about jobs, professional life. But I think what Spirit is trying to show you here is that you can actually implement this or you are being asked to implement this in all of your life, like in every area of your life, not just in your spirituality. And that there are, of course, reasons why you feel like this is a challenging thing to do, or it's not always, the word appropriate comes to mind, like it's not always appropriate to do that. And while that is true, and I keep getting something about a scientist as an example, like a scientist, while they of course they work with, I don't know, if you're a physicist, for example, of course you experiment, you try to, like, you work with numbers, you work with, you're testing things, you're testing theories out, and you have to do all of that, of course. But I think every really successful and good scientist will also tell you that their intuition is an integral part of their work. That it's not, yes, of course, like the constant testing and working through, and like the keeping, like sticking with things and not stopping until you find the thing, that is what gives you the, like, that's the foundation, that's the groundwork. But that is not where the breakthroughs come from. The breakthroughs are usually, they come out of nowhere. It's just like this light bulb. It's just this insight that you suddenly get. And then everything falls into place. And they want to, for one, like, make you see that this is intuition. Like, this is your feminine nature. That is picking up on that information and presenting it to you, making it available to you so that the masculine can take it and do with it what it has to do with it. And they also want to say, like, yes, this is an integral part of, like, this kind of work. And this will, like, nobody will doubt that. Nobody will think that this is wrong. And I also hear if the result speaks for itself, nobody will ask questions about how you got there. Like, nobody will ask where you got that information from if the result is convincing. So, I feel like I'm getting sidetracked here. I'm getting a little lost. That's maybe another thing that I can pinpoint this part of the collective to, is you are the overthinkers. You like to go down rabbit holes, which sometimes makes it a little hard to channel for you guys. Not gonna lie. So this, I don't know, like, right now, this energy, it's like the headache, it's not that strong anymore, but there is, now everything feels like super slow, and it almost feels like as if I could grab the energy. Like, I could literally take it and hold it in my hand. This is how thick it feels around me right now. So what are we going to do with that now? This is what makes you feel so tired. Or at least, like, the tiredness is related to this. Yeah, there's this feeling of walking, like, upstream against a very, very strong current. And this is, of course, tiring. Because, okay, there's something about, like, you're walking against, like, you're trying to move against your nature. If you do not learn to co-create with your feminine side, which is an important part of your nature, and if you don't learn to value it, instead of trying to hide it, it will continue to feel like you are fighting an uphill battle. And now they're bringing me back to this communication thing and the relationship topic that was there. It seems like that there is something in this whole thing that you want to communicate. There's something in there that you cannot quite explain. You don't really know. Like, you feel like you don't have all the facts. You haven't completely understood it yet. And you feel like you cannot move forward with that before you haven't, like you have to figure it all out before you move forward with it. But what Spirit is asking here, and there seems to be a relation, like there must be a connection here, and it feels like it's that your intuition is telling you something here. Like there's something you already know. It's just that your masculine keeps on doubting that truth, keeps on doubting that knowledge, because it doesn't make sense to the facts loving mind. Because it's something that you cannot test. It's not something you can show in an experiment that you can collect data on and then present to the world and say, this is how I came to this conclusion, because you can see it all in the data that we collected. No. This is actually something that you just have to trust. You just have to trust that your intuition is right about this, that there is a reason why you have those feelings, and the energy is kind of not going to move. It's stuck there. As long as you for one, do not accept that for yourself. And then with that acceptance, start to move accordingly, because that is what masculine energy does. So there is the need to do something with that acceptance that comes from leaning into the feminine and acknowledging that the feminine does see something here that is maybe not explainable, at least not in rational terms. And then the masculine can go from there and can decide what to do with that now. And for the last time, they are bringing up this thing about starting to talk before you feel ready. You don't have to have it all figured out. You can open up a conversation and you don't have to know where this conversation is going. You can also just, there is again this thing about starting a dialogue with somebody else and being open to the dance, to dance with that other person, to see how they receive it, what is coming back, and then trust your intuition again that you will know in that moment how to respond, how to act, how to go from there. So this is a continuous dance between your own inner masculine and feminine, and then also the dance between you and another, whoever it is that you have that pending, open, unfinished business with. I feel like that's it for now. I feel like that's what they wanted me to say, the guides. And like I said, it's something that keeps coming up for this collective in different shades. All right. I wish you all the best with that. Like always, I would love to hear from you, but of course, no, if you don't feel like commenting or expressing anything, that's perfectly fine too. You're felt nonetheless. And yeah, I send you all my love. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And I am looking forward to seeing you whenever I see you in another video. Until then, take care.